Hey guys, it's Jill. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new to today's video. I'm taking some inspiration from April Lauren. If you are not subscribed, make sure you go subscribe to her. But she did a video titled how I became fat, or why I'm fat, or something along those lines. And I've actually done something very similar to this as well previously. I don't think it's up though. I think I privated that video, but I wanted to redo it and kind of go into depth as to why I'm fat and what's going on and how I allowed myself to get this way, basically. So I guess I should start in childhood. I can remember the very first memory of me having an issue with food was 8 years old. I was at an uncle's party and there was cheese puffs that I could not control myself around. And I was like, not understanding why I couldn't stop eating them. I will say that I did have some childhood trauma that I'm not going to talk about. But this could be around the time of that, and if so, that's the reason for me turning to food for comfort. But yeah, that was my first memory of having an issue when it came to food. Now, as far as me as a child, I grew up in the 80s, so back then we didn't have to worry about, being kidnapped. I mean, it was going on, but it wasn't anything how it is now. So I was like active in the way where like during the summertime we would be out and about and we would be like walking and doing all that kind of stuff. I was never a very athletic child. I always wanted to be, but I was never very good at it. I tried swimming, I tried baseball, I tried softball. I wasn't good at either one of them. I got hit with a bat in softball, and an 8-year-old beat me when I was 13 or 14 in a swim race. So I wasn't good at either. So I wasn't a very athletic child at all. And I really didn't like athletics, and I really didn't like working out. I loved food though. I loved food a lot. And as far as my body type and my body as a child, I always remember thinking I was fat as a child. I was overweight, I was big. And then I look back at pictures and I'm like, but where? So again, the whole body dysmorphia, the whole very low self-confidence, the binging, the very bad relationship with food started all very early on. So that's pretty much my childhood. Let's move forward to me being 16. I think I was 15. It was first semester of sophomore year in high school, and I decided that I was done. Like, I wanted to look like my friends who had the small thighs, and I was done looking the way that I did. So I started starving myself and exercising excessively. We went to my aunt's for Thanksgiving, and I was a teenager, and I was starving myself, and I was excessively exercising, so I'm sure I was not a fun person to be around. And I overheard my mom telling my aunt that I was not such a very fun person to be around. And I immediately ran to food for comfort. So that's my first memory of me actually binging. And I can remember, because I will never forget the look on my cousin's face when she looked at me at how much I shoved in my mouth. This was the day after Thanksgiving. I ate so much that day, and that was my very first memory of me actually having a massive binge session, especially one in public, which is quite embarrassing. But at that point, I just didn't care. So I went from, before Christmas break, I was, this tiny little girl, not tiny, but I had gotten down to like 130, and that was like probably the smallest I think I've ever been as a teenager, or I ever was as a teenager. So I was like 130, I had lost weight, I was looking good, I was feeling good. Well, I really wasn't feeling good. But I also wasn't thinking that I was looking good either, because I was always critiquing and like, I need to lose this, and if only this, I wanted blonde hair, blue eyes. I just wanted to change everything, y'all. I'm trying to be all cute for the camera and trying to be all fall, and I just can't, it's too warm. But second semester of high school, I was binging. I came back, I had gained a ton of weight after Christmas break, And I started, like one semester I was all cutesy and girly, and the next semester I just completely turned grunge. And I was wearing the big baggy band tees and the big baggy Jinko jeans, and that was my style all through high school. I want to say that I did end up losing some weight, but again, I always had a major issue when it came to food, relationship with food, and I didn't like exercising, so I also had that against me as well because I wasn't a very active person. So come forward to when I was probably 18, I was maybe close to 200 pounds at this point, and I had graduated at 17. I don't remember being about 200. I was probably around 160, 170 at graduation. But after I had gotten I was working full time at a grocery store, I didn't have time, and I didn't take the time to like eat healthy or anything like that. And like I said, I was never a very active person to begin with, so there was no exercising going on. And I would just like eat while I was working because I like basically ran the front end of the grocery store. I was a bookkeeper. And depending on what manager was there that day, which usually I had the crap manager, so usually it was me just taking care of the front end, and my hours were very long, and I was just eating crappy. So I ended up gaining a bunch of weight, and I was dating this guy at the time, and he was like, let's do Atkins. So I was like, okay. So I lost 50 pounds in 3 months. Now in this time, I was like, ooh, yes. I ditched the big baggy jeans, and I ditched the big band tees, and I started wearing these cute little tank tops and these cute little, like the tighter jeans. And I was just feeling myself. I was looking good. I was happy. But then carbs, because carbs. And so I gained, again, a ton of weight very quickly because carbs. Like I wasn't eating any, and then I just go overnight to start eat them, and it was just all over from there. So I ended up breaking up with the boyfriend. I now have a full-time job in an office, and my friend tells me about diet pills, and she like had lost a ton of weight, and I'm like, girl, how'd you do it? You look so amazing. She's like, diet pills. So I was under the care of a doctor. I was taking B12 shots. He was giving me the prescription. I want to say I lost 40 pounds probably fairly quickly. The diet pills, like, they completely suppressed my appetite. I had so much energy with them. But like after the first maybe 3 weeks to a month is when I started experiencing the highs and the extreme lows that come with diet pills. Do not ever take diet pills. I have a video all about them that I will link down below. They're not good. So just don't take them. So anyways, I come off of them after I get down to about 160. I'm pretty happy with how I look. And I end up going to Atlanta for Memorial Day with a friend. And so I end up meeting this guy who I fell head over heels in love with. And I was like, I'm going to move to Atlanta, which is something I kind of always wanted to do anyways. And I was like, I don't really have anything here. Like, I mean, I had my job and I had an apartment and all that stuff. But I was like, now is the time. If there's any time, now is the time to go ahead and venture out and try the big city and see what it's all about. So I move in with my friend. We share an apartment. Life is good. However, the boyfriend was not so nice. He would make these comments about me gaining weight, and I remember I showed him pictures of when I was 200 pounds, and he told me if I ever got that big again, he wouldn't love me and he would not find me attractive. And so let's reintroduce the diet pills. And so that's exactly what I did. I want to say upon meeting him, I may have gained like 10 pounds or something like that. It wasn't anything excessive, but I did gain a little bit of weight with him when I started dating him, and also just the move and all that stuff. So I started taking the diet pills, and I lost about 30 pounds because I had gotten up to like 170 and my lowest was 140. So I'm 140. I feel like I'm looking good. And my boyfriend proceeds to tell me that if I only just lost 5 more pounds, I would be so hot and I'd be the baddest girl in Atlanta. So I was like, okay, I must be fat then. And I also remember him like never letting me eat what I wanted to eat. Like we would go to McDonald's and he'd be like, what do you want? And I'd be like, oh, give me number 5. I'm just like randomly saying number 5. I don't know. It would be like some kind of value meal. And he'd be like, no, you're going to have a Diet Coke and a chicken sandwich. And I'd be like, okay, then I guess that's what I'm eating. So as far as like this time in like early 2000s, I really don't remember me binging much. I don't really remember me going to food. And again, it could be because like I was so broke that I didn't have the money to like go and buy the food to binge. I really don't remember, but I do remember in like 2003, I started having massive panic attacks, I think associated to the diet pills. I'm almost like 98% sure. I mean, I'm sure I was destined because of the childhood trauma, and then also the boyfriend, he was very not so nice either. So I'm sure all of it combined was not on my side. So I started having panic attacks, had to quit my job. Boyfriend cheated on me, ended up leaving him, went and lived on my friend's floor, who ever so graciously was like, girl, come live with me. I only have 1 bedroom. You can stay on my living room floor. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I live on her floor for a couple of months. I start dating this one guy who wasn't really feeling, but I was just like, okay. I started feeling a little bit better. So I was like, okay, I don't feel good enough to go work back in like a 8 to 5 every single day type job, but I'll do like part-time jobs. So I started feeling better. So I was working at a tanning bed, and then I also went and I worked at a sports bar. And I was a cocktail waitress. And dating this guy at a time. So I was like, dude, you're out. Like, I'm done. And in this time, I actually met who is now my ex-husband and fell head over heels in love with him. Again, I mentioned I was living on my friend's floor. He had a 2-bedroom condo. He was like, come live with me. I'm like, what do I have to lose? Let's do this. So I start dating him, and 7 months later, I get pregnant. Again, throughout this whole time, I do not remember having any kind of issues with binging or overeating, and I'm not taking the diet pills, but I am consistently, keeping my weight off. So I gained weight. He is not a very nice person. Prior to me being pregnant, I don't remember if he ever was physically abusive with me, but he was very much so emotionally abusive with me, and he was also very much so cheating on me. I didn't like, it's like this feeling of like he's not doing something right. I could never go anywhere with him. He was always out with his friends. He would never, like, we don't have kids. Like, I'm literally a single woman just sitting at home waiting for you because you're out. And it was awful. It was awful. So yeah, I never was able to go out with him. This and that. The one time that I did go out with him, he got another girl's phone number right in front of my face. So that is definitely why I wasn't ever allowed to go out with him. Why I didn't leave this guy when I saw that. He was just very charming, very manipulative. It wasn't anything. It was an old friend, blah, 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 whatever. So I ended up getting pregnant. We moved from Atlanta back here. We moved with my parents. We stayed there for a little bit. We get this place. That is the first time that I remember him being physically abusive to me, and I was actually pregnant. So I ended up gaining 100 pounds in my pregnancy, and it's just been downhill ever since. The abuse got worse, both physical and emotional. He was staying out all hours of the night. He wouldn't come home. I never knew where he was. He would never answer his phone. He would job hop. We would move. Every time he got a new job, we would have to move somewhere else because he was a maintenance person, like a maintenance tech. So we would always like live on the complex where well, not always, but most of the time. So about 2008, I was working full time. We lived in this house, and our son was 2. He was abusive to me in front of my mom. And like he abused me physically in front of my mom and my son, or our son. And I called the cops. He goes to jail. My landlord would not let me in the house. He was my boyfriend at the time, who's my now ex-husband. He gave my key to the neighbor who was a complete stranger to him. And she ended up coming in and stealing a bunch of stuff. She didn't touch anything of mine from what I understand. And she didn't touch anything of Cantrell's except for his money that he had in his bank. This is my son. But anyways, yeah, I was literally thrown into single motherhood, like literally overnight. And not only that, but I literally lost everything that I owned. I had to go and get an apartment and literally had nothing but the 2 little bags that I carried for, like, that I packed for me and my son. So I had very little clothes for both of us. And that's all I had. Literally lost everything. My boyfriend, I didn't have a car. Thank God I still had my job because I was working. But I started again having massive panic attacks and I had to quit. Around this time, he was like, he was out of jail and everything. He was living in Atlanta, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm coming to you. So we moved to Alabama. I ended up getting pregnant in 2009, have my daughter. And again, the whole entire time, the physical abuse and the emotional abuse is happening. And so with my second pregnancy, I had gotten all the way up to 309 pounds. And I was like, okay, I'm done. Lost a bunch of weight, gained it again. Again, I'm experiencing a lot of trauma. My ex-husband is a narcissist, and so not only is he a narcissist, but he's also very like physically and emotionally abusive, and so it was just not, it was a very deadly combo for me. So I think it was like in 2012 or 2011 that I started this channel. I was at 278.4. I'll never forget that number because I always say it. I always used to say it, but I had gotten down to 209 pounds. And I was feeling amazing. I was doing really good. My husband at the time came to me, it was like right around the holidays, and he was like, I just want to tell you I quit my job today. And I was like, wait, what? Yeah, I was tired of that company. Me and the manager just couldn't get along, and I want my own. I want my own business, so I'm going on a business on my own. And I was like, keep in mind, I'm a single, like, I'm not a single mom. I'm a stay-at-home mom. So I'm not bringing in any income. I think I was working this little part-time, like, contract job. So I was bringing in a little bit of income, but not nearly enough to handle hardly any of our bills. So I ended up gaining like 40 pounds, over 40 pounds in less than 3 months. Then I end up leaving him. He cheats on me. And, you know, honestly, he'd been cheating on me the whole time. And there was even this one time, I think Contrell, it was like it was my first Mother's Day, and he spent the night with another woman and didn't come home till 4 in the afternoon and wondered why I was mad. And I didn't know then that he spent the night, but I, you know, went through his phone and found it, called the girl, or noticed it was the girl. She was like a friend of mine. She never contacted me back. She never called me back. Of course it wasn't all like, you cheated, you were with my man. You know, I was like, girl, how you been? I haven't seen you in forever. Let's hang out. And went to her house. She never answered the door, even though I know she was there. Never called me back. His boy did not have his back. I was like, hey, he said that he was trying to hook you up with so-and-so. That's why he called her at like 2 in the morning. You know, Mother's Day. And he was like, I've never heard him mention her ever. And I was like, oh, so he never tried to hook you up? No. I was like, dude, you know you're supposed to have your boy's back, but thanks. Boyfriend, fiance, whatever you want to call him, he still manipulated me and talked me into thinking, okay, whatever. I can remember, like, after just having my son, him calling me fat, and I'm just like, literally just had your son. Like, this is the shit that I had to deal with for so many years. So at this point, I'm like, I'm done. He's cheated on me red-handed. I'm done. But I'm not done. So I ended up taking him back, and I was never the same. And I feel like even still now, I'm like never the same. Like, I'm not the same as I was before that time period, because that was very, again, very traumatic for me to go through, and to see how he handled the whole cheating situation, because of course I ended up taking him back, how he handled it and how he was just so hateful and so horrible to me. I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't. So May of 2017, I had this part-time job. I just got out of the shower. I was getting ready for work. I'm putting on lotion. I'm naked. And he looks at me and he's like, and he calls me fat. And he's literally going on for 15 minutes about how I'm so disgusting, how I'm so fat, how I need to do something about it. If I don't do something about it, he's going to leave me. There's so many attractive women on the complex that he works. Da 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 da. And I am literally hiding in the closet, crying, begging him to just shut up. Just stop. Please stop. And he wouldn't. So I fall into a massive, deep, dark depression, gain some more weight, which I didn't at this point even really need to. Then I went and I said, I'm done with this. I'm done. And I went to counseling, and a whole new world was open to me. I opened up finally about the abuse, and I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm leaving him. So February of 2017, I moved out on my own with my babies and became a single mom. I did, however, still give him another chance in 2018. It was like August of 2018. I was like, I'm gonna give him one more chance, because this whole time we're just separated, and it was very traumatic for me. Again, it was not very good. In the beginning of 2019, 3 huge traumatic events happened that I'm not gonna talk about, but 3 huge traumatic events happened in addition to me kicking him out, telling him I'm done, and I'm done for good. February of 2019, I filed for divorce. April of 2019, we are officially divorced. I did not handle the divorce and also the 2 other huge traumas that happened in January, and then also like, not May, but was it June? I don't know. There was just a lot of stuff that happened. There was 2 very traumatic events that happened, and then the divorce, which is also another traumatic event. And then things in my personal life started happening, like my car started breaking down, and this was happening, and this, and it was just like I was feeling attacked, and so of course I started binging, I started eating. I did lose, like I did the lowest that I can remember that getting down to in the past previous years is 266. But I took him back. I started eating again because again I was subjecting myself to emotional abuse and possible almost physical abuse. He almost would, but he would catch himself. So I was subjecting myself to that. 2019, I completely let myself go. The 3 traumas were just horrible for me, and I took the divorce way harder than I thought. So that ends up for me now. My highest is 323 pounds. And one day I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I have to love myself. I have to put myself first, and I have to start healing. So this whole entire year I have been in counseling. We are taking a much different approach. I'm not doing fad diets because I've tried all the fad diets. I've always felt like crap, or I've always lost weight really quickly and then gained it even quicker. So this time around we are taking the approach where we are just eating what we want, and we're counting calories, and we're making sure we're in a calorie deficit, and we're exercising, and we're feeling good, and we're loving ourselves, and we're putting ourselves first. And you know, we're healing. Like I'm truly healing, and I'm taking the time to heal before I start dating, before I start doing any of that stuff and allowing anyone to come into my life. I am allowing myself, because I have been through many very traumatic events in my life, and I can't anymore. Not only do I have to get a handle on all of the healing and all of the trauma that I've been through, but I also have to get a handle on this binging. Now, the binging, like I talked about like the early 2000s to 2004 when I met my husband, or my ex-husband, I really wasn't binging much. So from 1999 to 2005, I don't really remember me binging much. But when I met my ex-husband, y'all, it was constant. It was constant. Food was my comfort. Food is what I ran to. It was just, yeah, it's what I did, and I still continue to do it. But again, it's something I'm working on, and that's why this time is going to be so much different, because I'm, counseling. We're going through the traumas, we're healing, we're loving ourselves, we're putting ourselves first. And this is the first time in my life where I'm actually happy, not due to someone else. No one else is like contributing to my happiness except for me. So this is something that I'm very proud of. Since I talked about so much abuse in this video, which I really didn't think I was going to go into, but this is a big reason why I have such an issue with food, is because of the massive traumas that I've dealt with in my life, specifically that one. I think it's very important for women to know that you do not have to live that kind of life, and your quality of life will much improve, and improve way more, and will be amazing when you leave that jackass, because he will never change. And if you're a guy watching and you're abused, and I wasn't even going to make this into this, but since I talked about abuse so much, they do not change. I've gone to counselors, I've begged them, like, please tell me that you know of people who have been abused and the man has changed. Oh yeah. And I'm like, but why isn't he changing? I have prayed, I have done everything that I could possibly think of to save my marriage, to fix this guy, but there is no amount of anything that I can do to fix him. So it's time to fix me and worry about me at this time. So it's definitely going to be a long journey. I have 180 pounds to lose, so it's definitely going to take some time. Like I said, I am losing it on more of a slower pace basis because of the fact that I'm not doing these fad diets. I'm not concentrating on the number. I'm not concentrating. As a matter of fact, I don't even do weekly weigh-ins in this channel. Because of the fact that I don't want this to be all about how much do I weigh, how much am I losing. I want this to be so much more. I want this journey to be a look into mental health and fixing that and healing myself and healing, learning to love myself, learning to put myself first, learning to conquer these food addiction demons, and so much more. Learning to fall in love with exercise and beat depression, beat anxiety, all of that stuff. So I hope that you guys join me on this journey. If you guys have not subscribed to April Lauren, who again is an inspiration for this video, which even though I've done it before, this video in particular was more inspired by her, go subscribe to her. She is amazing and you guys will love her. I think that is everything. If you guys are new here, please subscribe, click that thumbs up button. Also click that notification bell if you are new here, so you're notified of every single upload. I upload at least once a week, every single week. And click that thumbs up button and share this video because it helps my channel a lot. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. My camera cut off. I couldn't say bye, so bye.